In Washington state alone, nearly 700,000 people are facing hunger. Of that number, nearly 200,000 of them are children. I knew that number was incorrect. That was confirmed today by the panelists. How many more go hungry in silence? Let me share with you some of the stories of children behind those numbers. I want to share with you these numbers because I want to explain to you why for me and for you, hunger is always a social justice issue. Hunger and food access is always a legal issue pertaining to the right to dignity, life, and liberty. I want to warn you that some of these stories may be sensitive, so please take care of yourselves. Timothy is 11 years old. Both of his parents work full-time. However, between housing costs, transportation, and basic living expenses, they struggle from paycheck to paycheck to make ends meet. That means sometimes there's only one meal a day, if that. This is a story of a hungry child. Maya is 17 years old. She was living on the streets after she ran away from a home rather, to escape the abuse of a relative. Her parents are undocumented. I hate that word. She has been here since she was a young child, but she does not have any family or friends. This is another story of a hungry child. Musa is a widowed father of 3 children. Towards the height of the COVID pandemic, he lost his job. He had diligently been searching for work, but at 3 months behind in rent, he was served with an eviction notice, and he went through the proceedings without counsel. As a result, he and the 3 children have been living out of his van. This is a story of a hungry family. This is the story of hungry children. There's another story I'd like to share with you. It's my own story. And again, I want to warn you, some of what I share may be triggering. I was a hungry child. My mother was abused by my father. Perhaps because of the abuse she endured, she also abused me. In addition to beatings, to physical beatings, she would also withhold food. I would go to school hungry, but she had already warned me that I could say nothing of what happened in our home. I was a hungry child. Although my mother left my father, unfortunately, like many victims, she left one abuser to become involved with another when she moved to Washington. Her new partner had a substance abuse disorder. He was violent, and he was also sexually inappropriate with children. I called him the boogeyman. After school, I would hang out, mostly at the SeaTac airport, until around 12 midnight, and then I would call to ask her if it was safe to come home. I remember waiting long hours, and I was hungry. I was a hungry child. One evening, I came home too soon. When she opened the door, she immediately motioned me into the back room, saying, "Just be quiet until he leaves." From the room, you could hear the arguing, the knocks, the slaps, the banging. I heard his son come in, who was around the same age. He came in and the boogeyman yelled, "Take your ass to the room." His son came into the room. We sat quietly, crisscross applesauce. We were quiet and we were scared. The next moment, the boogeyman came into the room with a gun in his hand. He closed the door and turned off the lights. We then heard him release the safety on the gun and click the gun back, or cock the gun back. We were frozen in our fear. It seemed like forever. But after a few moments, we heard him open the door and leave. In the dark, we scrambled for the clothes. I was a hungry child. In the dark, we scrambled for the clothes that we could find and climbed out of a window. It was late at night. The bus number 174 had stopped running. So we walked along Pacific Highway from about 208 to South Center. We were scared. We were tired. We were hungry. I was a hungry child. I ended up on the bus, number 174. I hope my eyelashes don't fall off. I rode bus number 174 back and forth until I met a lady who offered to take me home with her. That night, I went home with a total stranger. I stayed with her and her husband. She had told me that they didn't have much, and they didn't. They shared with me the little food they were able to get using their small amount of food stamps and food bank donations. Other times, I would go to a grocery store and take food. I was a hungry child. I eventually ended up at a youth home in Ballard. And I ultimately met the lady that I come to call my mommy mentor, the late Julie Zarelli, or Missy, as everyone called her. She was a counselor at an alternative high school called Middle College. Miss Z pieced together my transcripts and determined that the movement I had done as a homeless child had placed me in about 12 different schools between middle and high school. She had been surprised that I managed to still have a record of mostly A's and B's. I told her I had learned early. At school, I could get 2 meals. And if I was really good, the teacher would also give me candy and treats. Again, I was a hungry child. At the shelters and youth homes that I resided in, there were structured meal times. So if you missed lunch, you were probably hungry during the day. And then if you missed dinner, you were probably hungry during the night. I had this, it was so god-awful ugly. It was an ugly small orange suitcase. And I would carry this suitcase everywhere I went. In March of this year, I was telling this story at my swearing-in ceremony when I became a judge. And a lady that I had met along my journey, she happened to be there when I was talking about this suitcase. Like, what did I carry in this thing? And she yelled from the back, "You had clothes in there and snacks and food." And then I remembered, that's right. Because wherever I could go and grab some food, I didn't know where the next meal was going to come from, so I put it in that old bag. Again, I was a hungry child. Food access is a matter of life. It is a matter of liberty. It's a matter of dignity. It is a social justice imperative. It is a moral imperative. And one of the richest nations in this world, there should never be a hungry child. Hungry child, precious little one who chose not the world into which you were born, we should all weep that your hand is held out to take your turn, in the posture of begging for sustenance that no child should go without. This, indeed, should be the cause to which all of our voices shout. Hungry child, precious little one, I pray it is impressed upon your soul. You are worthy, and you deserve all you need to sustain you and to make you whole. At night when you sleep, you should dream of dancing in warm grass, not of the pain of wondering how long the hunger will last. You should be blissful and peaceful as you turn in the sheets. Your lips should smile as you think of the abundance of what you have to eat. Dreaming of candies and strawberries with cream on top, not of the anguish of how to make the hunger pain stop. Precious, precious hungry children, we will stretch our hands to you. And the splendor of your different hues and shades, you are of us, and indeed, we love you. Thank you.